Hey folks, it's really hot outside, so what happens if you start traveling in all this heavy armor and gear and it's blazing hot outside? Well, stay tuned to find out next. Hey YouTube, Evil DM here. This week I'm going to be bringing you another show. This is a short week because of the holiday Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day to all those folks that served out there in the past and everything. Appreciate your service. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on these videos and keep sharing everything. Share the tapes, as MST3K would say, but share the videos, help get it around to people so they can see it. So each edition has their version of Exhaustion and rules for what to do, and I've never played by those rules. Well, starting with 5e, they say on page 185 of the Player's Handbook, a PC needs 1 gallon of water per day and 2 if the weather is really hot. PCs that drink only half the required amount must make a DC 15 Constitution save or suffer a level of exhaustion per day, each day. If they drink less than half than that of the half, so if they're drinking a quarter, if they're trying to reserve it, they suffer another level of exhaustion. If they already have a level of exhaustion, they take 2 levels of exhaustion. Now the levels of exhaustion will go from level 1 to 6. 6 being obviously the worst possible thing that can happen, and 1 being just the basic steps. First one is you just get a disadvantage on ability checks. The second one, speed is half. The third one, disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. Hit points is then half, and then speed is reduced to 0 as you can barely move, and then finally you just die of just thirst. So it doesn't really take into account, I mean, I like the level of exhaustion. I like that level 1 through 6, how it moves up the chain and continues to move along as you get more exhausted. But I like to add in more factors of it, of like what happens if you're wearing heavy metal armor and you're in blazing sun. That should add a little more onto you, make you sweat some more. It should give you a level of exhaustion. It should make you want to drink more. So what I've been doing in my games over all the years is starting out when players have their characters start out the day. Generally, after sleeping, they'll go across whatever desert or whatever hot area, depending on the temperature. And I will have it in the morning time. It'll be quite cool, like normal places around the world in real life. Generally, except for Texas, which is always freaking hot. But it starts off really cool and then gradually makes its way out through the day until it gets blazing hot towards the middle of the day, which is usually around noon, 1 tip of the day around there. Sometimes, depending on where you live, it could be hotter in the afternoon towards 5 o'clock, which I've seen many times happen. But for game explanation, let's just say you start the morning off, you have your characters, do what they're doing. They have their battles, they do this, they're still traveling, they have a day's worth of travel. It's one of those adventures. They're hex crawling across the whole entire world here to get to this one little temple they need to go to. So, and of course, the weather is one of those, blazing hot 100 degree, 105 degree days. I don't know what that is in Celsius. Sorry, folks. Don't do those conversion things. I apologize. But it's one of those 100, 105 days, and it's just your characters are sweating butt, walking back and forth. You have your fighter with the metal armor on. You have your thief or your rogue with that studded leather armor. That's heavy. You got all the stuff you're carrying. Let's just say you don't have any horses, or you do have a horse, and you don't have a carriage, but you're still going to be exhausted. Automatically, you should be drinking water. You should have enough water with you. If you don't have enough water with you, you're going to suffer for that. Different situation. This situation calls for those drinking water. So in the morning time, you'll probably conserve most of your water because you won't be thirsty when you first start out in the morning. Because if you've ever gone out in the morning when it's a really hot day of the summer, generally a couple hours, 4 or 5 hours, you can last without drinking water and not have to worry about it. And then you'll start to get that thirst, and you'll grab your bottle of water and be like, yeah, there we go. So when the first 4 hours go by, you're fine. The 5th hour, and then you can decide your character wants to take a drink. Your DM will give you the option. You're starting to feel thirsty. You need to take a drink. Now, it's up to the character that if he wants to take the drink or not. If he does not want to take the drink, that is perfectly fine. He gets to move along for another couple hours. Then he gets the prompt to want to rest and drink then. Now, if the character decides he's going to drink, that's fine. He will drink. He will probably drink a good portion of that water skin, and you can decide as a DM if you want to do it. I usually give them probably a good fourth of it taken away because they're really thirsty at this point. Now, if they decide to skip this turn again because they really want to conserve that one water skin that they have because they forgot to stock up for whatever reason, I allow them to do that. But next time it comes up, they have to drink no matter what. And when they're drinking, they are so thirsty at this point that they're going to suffer a level of exhaustion automatically. And then they still have to make a constitution save, depending on the system now. Constitution save, I usually do a DC 13 to get them to see if they have another level of exhaustion, because they're going to be so exhausted at this point, they really want to drink. DC 13, boom, they miss. Oh, look at that. You're now on level 3 at this point because you're so exhausted. You're getting 2 levels of exhaustion. Plus, you're really thirsty. You've drank in almost all of your water at this point. And you still have a couple hours to go, depending on how far your party wants to go, which when we normally have played, when we've walked across the great whatever plains, it wasn't, a working 9 to 5 kind of thing. It was, we went until it was dark and our characters were, needed to rest. When the DM was like, okay, it's approaching 6, 7 o'clock at night and you guys are getting tired and it's starting to get dark, you may want to camp. So we would camp. So I would do that, and if you're using like an earlier edition system, I would use the 3d6. And so what in the earlier editions, and you could do this for newer editions too, we would use 3d6 to roll. The DM would make up the modifier, generally the same way you would do a DC in 5th edition, but then you would scale the dice up and down depending on the difficulty at hand. So say you wanted to do a DC 15, but you give them 3d6, and you're like, that's pretty tough, so make it 4d6, 5d6. And if you want to make it really difficult, you can lower the dice amount, and that's how you do it. You can fluctuate the two of them both ways. Generally, the DC for the older one would stay between a 12 and a 15, around that range, and then you move the dice up and back and forth, depending on how you want to play it. Now, there's also the 3d6 method when you do it versus a stat. So your constitution will say is a 12, you have 3d6 to beat that stat, and if you don't, then you fail, but the DM can add more dice to it to give you a better chance. Oh, it's an easy thing, you can pass 5d6. It's really difficult, so now you have 2d6, which basically you're not going to be able to pass it with a 12, but that is also that method. And level of exhaustion is actually really frightening when you have this. Have you ever been outside when it's really hot and you're running, or you're trying to get somewhere and there's something heavy on your back or something? You're really getting tired after a couple hours of doing that. It doesn't matter how strong you are or how fit you are, you're just going to be exhausted. And it's always good to have that bottle of water next to you, or when your water skin on your belt there to drink, because you're going to be drinking a lot. Stopping drinking. If you don't do that, you're going to suffer the effects of exhaustion. It was just something I had thought about today when I was playing, about how I handle it in my game, and this is what I normally will do. I don't like going by the standard rules in the book, because then you get these people that min-max and plot and plan. I like to make my games custom to the group, and of course beforehand the group knows these things, so it's not like they're blindly hit with these from the left or right, like some people were saying, well, I wouldn't play in a game if you just did that to me out of the right field or left field. I tell you ahead of time. I give you my rules, my house rules ahead of time. I tell you what it looks like, so there's no surprises in many of my games. Tell me what you think about exhaustion. Do you use by the book? Do you use your own custom method? Which do you use? What do you use? I want to know. Give me a comment below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Good night, everybody.